Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy. Up first here on the hazardous weather graphic, we've got red area there, high wind warning out for the Juneau area, the greater Juneau area, the greater Juneau area, including Admiralty Island and Douglas. That's out for this evening through noon Sunday. And that's for winds out of the northeast gusting above 60 miles per hour. And then up toward White Pass, Klondike Highway, near White Pass, there's a wind chill advisory out for tonight into, well, actually through tomorrow afternoon for wind chills to 35 degrees below zero due to gusty, strong northerly winds and the cold temperatures. Moving on, this is the web view of Barrow, Alaska, or a place formerly known as Barrow, and showing the sea ice pretty well socked in as it has been there. This is right around solar noon, so really not light enough to kick off the street lights here that are obviously going 24/7 there. And daylight will be increasing, but sunrise not due to occur there until the 23rd of the month here, at which time it'll rise at something like 1:04 p.m. and then set at 2:14 p.m., but that's not going to occur until the 23rd of this month, and that's still about 2.5 weeks away. Next shot here is showing Nome, and beautiful day there. Clear sky, sunshine out, definitely daylight making a comeback there. Pretty good conditions. Again, this taken right around solar noon today. And then the next shot here showing down in Anchorage, East Anchorage, actually Glen Alps from the parking area there, showing Flat Top Mountain over here and a view of Little O'Malley, which is right there, and False Peak right there with O'Malley Peak actually hidden behind that. And beautiful day here out of the fog that was showing up across much of Anchorage today, but creating some pretty good hoarfrost if you're kind of into that. Good time to get pictures of that. Moving on to satellite imagery, good storm out here over the western Bering, drifting northward, front pushing eastward, and due to the northward movement of the main low and the eastward push of the front here, this front weakening as it comes east and really not laying down much precipitation, although Unalaska did pick up about 1/3 of an inch and maybe close to 2/10 of an inch at St. George. Much of that falling in the form of snow, but temperatures both locations above freezing this afternoon, and you can see a break right behind that front. Snow is starting to spread into Nunivak Island, and winds kicking up along the coastal areas. Cape Newenham, an exposed area there, getting gusts over 40 miles an hour at mid-afternoon. Otherwise, we had gusts 50 to 52 miles per hour occurring at Accoon Island there, just west of False Pass, as well as St. Paul and St. George Island. Back to the west, westerly winds here with the cold air coming in. Snow temperatures running 30 to 34 degrees all afternoon, kind of bouncing around there, but west winds gusting 52 miles an hour at Adak, and almost periods of light snow going on there, even more so back to the west there. North side of this low, the wraparound coming in, and Shemya seeing gusts upwards 65 miles an hour this afternoon out of the west-southwest. Next storm, outer edge there, the cloud shield with the next storm. That'll be rolling in tonight, so storm warnings are out for the western Bering Sea, western and then eventually central Aleutians through tomorrow with that next storm coming in. This one will weaken considerably. Otherwise, in the interior, we've got, you can see a contrast, the white here over the eastern half of the state. That's due to the cold surface temperatures. There are a few clouds in here, but mostly temperatures well below zero. For example, Chicken sitting at 40 below this afternoon. And they had a low of 44 below earlier, a few hours ago actually, while McLaren River on the Denali Highway, they were down to 43 degrees below zero late this morning around midday today, and minus 30s and across the Tanana Valley. But high clouds right through here. You can see this area advancing with an upper level low. And back to the west, temperatures are a little milder, either a little below zero or close to zero. And areas of light snow associated with that. Otherwise, mostly clear skies. Again, areas of fog in the Cook Inlet area, especially around Anchorage. Mostly clear here, North Gulf Coast, down to the Panhandle. This system here, low pressure, slowly advancing northward. You can see putting a trough right up and moisture streaming up and just catching the Stewart-Hyder area. I didn't see a report, but they could see a little bit of light snow, or may have had some today, but nothing significant. Otherwise, nice day across the Panhandle. Those outflow winds beginning to increase here. Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, probably on down to Stevens Passage, as well as the North Gulf Coast with a higher pressure over the interior. This very weak trough bringing about 1 to 2 inches of snow to the greater McGrath area, Nikolai area, with some light snow possibly. Well, light snow did occur all the way down to Sparivon today, and then back to the northwest, but really light amounts. Then a break behind that, not much going on. Winds increasing along the coast, as I mentioned, with snow approaching not St. Lawrence Island. They had some light snow and fog there today, really light up toward the Bering Strait coast. And the winds have yet to pick up there, but again, gusting up to above 40 miles an hour, Cape Newnham, and over toward Macoriac. And front getting past the Pribilofs now, so conditions improving there. And then the gusty winds with a lot of snow showers out over the Aleutians. And looking ahead to tonight, this front again continues to weaken as it pushes in toward the southwest coast. So snow, maybe enough wind for it to drift around, but no heavy snowfall expected. Could be some areas of blowing snow, but visibilities for the most part should stay above a mile. And amounts will be light, and that'll trail back with some light rain or rain and snow mix possibly here for the Alaska Peninsula. Maybe some mixed rain and snow showers for the eastern Aleutians. Colder air coming back in behind the front, so the Pribilofs will see the snowfall levels back down to sea level, so whatever falls will be in the form of snow there, but it'll be showery. Next big storm driving up toward the Komodorsky Islands there. That'll bring storm warnings back into the western Aleutians tonight and eventually the Bering Sea. Otherwise, the interior, this trough really washing out, just leaving a few clouds and maybe a couple of flurries behind right through this area. That'll act to keep the temperatures up in that area. Otherwise, well below zero over the eastern interior, right down to the Copper River Basin. Below zero readings again, maybe down to 20 below, so sit in the valley like we saw this morning. All the way down below zero again into the Kenai area, Kenai Peninsula, East Anchorage. Definitely Copper River Basin down to 20 to 40 below. And a little breezy around Valdez. Outflow winds, Copper River Delta, and then a high wind warning with that tighter gradient here there for the Juneau area, and the wind chill advisory for White Pass as this low gets a little bit better on the picture there, tightening the gradient up, and the somewhat building pressures up over the Northwest Territories. Moving ahead to tomorrow, this low stays put about that area. That'll continue to advect a little bit of moisture westward and keep a chance of light snow into Stewart and Hyder, otherwise dry and clear over the remainder of the southeast coast, and quite windy in the north, a lot less wind in the south. Outflow winds, Prince William Sound, Valdez, Copper River Delta, but nothing really that significant. And maybe a little breezy here along the Alaskan Range, winds picking up along for Delta Junction, for example. That'll drop the wind chills down a little bit there, with maybe some clouds here over the 40-mile country upper Tanana Valley. That's about it, mostly clear. Below zero for the interior, right out to the Arctic coast there, light winds. Could see some patchy low clouds here, central and east side, otherwise dry. And that front really washes out here, pushes the band of snow inland though, across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, some snow showers into Bristol Bay. Some of this could slip on in toward Aniak and Sleepmute, should stay south of McGrath and Nikolai. Scattered snow showers following that behind, maybe a chance of snow for St. Lawrence Island. Gradual increase in those easterly winds. Storm warnings with this system out here in the west. Again, that low 955 millibars tracking north. The other one gone already. Snow and rain, depending on how much warm air slides up associated with that warm front into the central Aleutians. But another wet, windy day coming up there. Again, with storm warnings out through tomorrow into the central and western Bering Sea. And taking a look ahead to Monday. Again, that front does the same, follows the same pattern here. pushing out, the low center staying back to the west, weakening, pulling up to the north, this thing driving eastward and really starting to wash out, but it'll hold together enough to bring, again, a chance of rain or snow into the Alaska Peninsula. Winds will be back up here to the north, here around St. Lawrence Island. Look for those easterlies to increase throughout the day, overnight tomorrow night and throughout the day. Otherwise, this low actually coming across Kodiak tomorrow night with remnants of that front will bring a chance of snow overnight tomorrow night, and then that'll pull off the coast there. Look for some clearing in the afternoon. Again, just a variably cloudy day through the central interior, clear to the east, clearing to the west. Chance of snow eastern Beaufort Sea coast with a cold upper low up there that's may drop down Tuesday and Wednesday and bring a cold shot into the northern interior again. But otherwise dry and mostly clear. Patchy fog Cook Inlet, but well below zero, approaching 40 below in the Copper River Basin for your overnight lows. And the Panhandle, still breezy in the north, but not as. Chance of snow showers down toward Dixon Entrance. Most of this shower activity will stay off the coast. Lows for tonight, again, anywhere from 25 to 45 below from the Copper River Basin right up to the North Slope. Probably not that cold on the Arctic coast with a little more of a breeze. And down to 15 to 20 below again, the Susitna Valley, 0 to 10 below for the Kenai Peninsula. Single numbers, Prince William Sound. Low teens in the northern Panhandle, anyway 10 to 15, a little milder down south. Highs tomorrow afternoon, below zero, well below zero, Copper River Basin, Tanana Valley right up to the Arctic coast. And teens here for the southwest interior, lower 20s Nunivak Island, mid 30s for the Pribilofs, lower 40s for the central Aleutians. And your lows the following morning, again, 25 to 45 below eastern interior, 20 to 30 below for the Arctic coast, and near 30 below all the way out toward Galena, but a little milder for the Seward Peninsula.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Band of IFR here coming onto the coast, kind of falling apart as that front really weakens. There'll be some IFR down to Cape Newenham, back to marginal VFR, not even quite reaching the south coast of St. Lawrence Island, pretty close. And then some IFR narrow band there, Alaska Peninsula. Not too bad over the Aleutians, marginal in the Pribilofs, IFR with the next storm out over the western Aleutians. Good VFR, southern Alaska, some marginal stuff up here over the western interior, and patchy IFR, Brooks Range, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, North Slope, VFR, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, all the way down across the Panhandle. That holds in through tomorrow afternoon, VFR all through this area, southern Alaska, marginal VFR, 40-mile country, back up maybe into the eastern Koyukuk Valley areas, western, right along the Yukon River there, up to the Brooks Range, and a patch of marginal stuff, central North Slope. And now just marginal VFR pushing inland into the Kuskokwim Valley here from the southwest coast to Bristol Bay, southern Kodiak Island. A little bit of a breakthrough here with some actually pretty widespread areas of VFR, and then a band of IFR, that next advancing front. That pushes eastward here, but you can tell it starts to narrow out a little bit as it pushes into the Fox Islands there and approaches the Pribilofs. Just areas of marginal VFR in advance of that, still well into the southwest interior with that weak southwest flow aloft, and VFR in the interior. Marginal VFR due to low stuff here over the 40-mile country, upper Tanana Valley, and also a narrow band of IFR possibly there across the central Arctic coast. VFR for the Panhandle, marginal VFR coming up toward Cape Yakataga, and that holds and kind of expands back toward Montague Island in the afternoon. Otherwise, the interior not too bad. Lower conditions as you head in west or the Kuskokwim Valley on out to maybe some IFR showing up along Nunivak Island, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, marginal down to the Brooks Range. VFR holds again, Copper River Basin down across the Panhandle, marginal for the Bering Sea, and another band IFR making its way onto the picture there in the afternoon for the western Aleutians. Anaktuvik VFR becoming marginal maybe in the afternoon. Same forecast for Adigan, possibly becoming marginal in the afternoon as some clouds drop down from the north. And Lake Clark and Merrill, though, VFR for rainy. Windy, good VFR. And Isabel looking good as well. Mentasta, VFR. Tanita, VFR. Portage wide open, both entrances, good VFR through Passage Canal. And Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels at the surface here, north of the Pribilofs with that southwest flow, keeping it some milder air in out this way, at least the surface, 2,000 feet way back toward the central Aleutians. This is barely reaching AKwx. And then the freezing level line here tomorrow morning, hugging the North Gulf Coast, east side of Kodiak, on down along the outer coastline of the Panhandle. And for icing, nothing for the Panhandle, nothing for the Gulf of Alaska, icing free through the interior. And then a narrow weakening band, just a slight thread here along that dying front as it moves into the southwest interior areas of maybe isolated, really isolated, moderate or mixed maybe here, but nothing significant. A little more significant with that stronger system out here pushing eastward in toward AKwx and Atka. Could be some considerable moderate with that, again, mostly above about 4,000 feet. Jet stream showing ridging here, trying to push up ahead of that bigger storm out to the west there, and then sort of linking up a little bit with these highs to the north. Weak northwest flow, 30 to 40 knots here, about 60 knots over the southeast bearing. Main jet well to the south of the area. And for 9,000 feet, big winds here, up to 75 knots associated with this low back to the west there, and especially along the frontal boundary, diminishing as you head east, ridging, lighter winds 15 to 20 or 10 to 20. Weak upper low here. Easterlies 25 knots on the north side of that. Southeast coast 25, turn northwest 30 along the coast there. And lighter 20 to 30 still along the coast here for the Panhandle. Easterlies 10 to 20 over the interior. And the big winds out here with this system, especially in advance of the front, 3,000 feet here, up to 65 knots coming across the central Aleutians. Lighter, the Alaska Peninsula, westerlies 45 to 50 following in behind. And turbulence, occasional moderate chop here, especially in advance of the front. Could be even isolated severe for small aircraft out here. But back to the west, more moderate chop, and also mechanical turbulence here, northern Panhandle to Yakutat. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
This is the third year of our project. We're looking at the timing of when all the plants start growing in the summer and when all the birds come to this area. The timing of when those things happen is changing with climate change. And so we're looking at the effects of those changes. The relationship with people you work with at a camp like this is really unique. In my everyday life, I don't spend this much time with anyone, with a spouse, family members, best friends.
This is a really interesting situation where you're basically thrown into the mix with essentially a bunch of strangers.
It's kind of a really cool way to get to know people because you're pretty stripped down to bare minimum. We don't have internet, we don't have phones or anything, and so all of our social interactions are just like face-to-face personal interactions.
I'm an undergrad exchange student from Sweden.
My name is Ryan Choi, and I am a PhD student at Utah State University.
I'm a postdoctoral researcher at University of Alaska Anchorage.
I'm an undergraduate researcher and field technician from Utah State University.
And I'm a master's student at Utah State University.
And I'm here now in the YK Delta to work for the summer.
Our field season is about 5 months long. We have to show up here at the tail end of winter. Everything is totally frozen. All the rivers are frozen over, there's snow everywhere, and it's a very different landscape than it looks like right now.
Our day-to-day life here, it varies quite a bit, but the one constant is that we make a hearty and sometimes elaborate breakfast. Our downtime is almost entirely dictated by the weather. So if the weather's nasty, we're inside and we can get really creative.
If you're looking at your paper and you fold it bottom to top, what might be considered hot dog style in the past life is now valley fold.
Valley fold, okay.
You didn't valley fold.
It feels like I live better out here than I do back home. When I lived in Anchorage, I was totally deprived of sauna for the whole winter. It was like, yeah. Then I come out here and there's these great saunas. I do not take any credit for the construction of this sauna. It's entirely the bird camp who has put up the sauna and made these little niceties. We have the essential oils that you can put on the splash on the stove with water. So this is where you sit and get reborn.
Remote research camps like this are common in Alaska, and I think part of it is because in other parts of the world or other parts of the country, they'd be on the road system, they'd be easy to get to. But the other thing is that Alaska is unique because it's the only part of our country that is in the Arctic. And so it's really important to get on the ground and study these ecosystems.
Our Alaskan experience is very different than what most people think of as Alaska. This being my third season out here in the Delta and the final year of all of the project as well. For me, this is a very bittersweet summer. I am looking forward to having my summers back and being able to have more normal life again, but it is sad knowing that this is the last time that we'll be out here like this. Definitely spending a lot of time trying to cherish the last moments, the last saunas, and last time getting to experience what it's like being out here at the taco.
Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
It was pretty smoky in here. We couldn't really figure out until somebody saw, like, yeah, the floor is on fire. But now we have extra drainage, so.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis. Not a lot of change out here in the west. Mostly the ice drift with the fronts coming up and dying. Easterly winds, it's mostly drifting westward without too much of a further southern extent. Sea ice increased a little bit here over Bristol Bay, as you can see here in that area. And also northern Cook Inlet expected to continue with the heavier ice shield expected to be down to near or just south of Kenai during the next upcoming forecast period, next 3 to 5 days. On to the coastal water forecast. South coast of the Panhandle, north to northwest, 25 knots tomorrow, northwest 20 for Clarence Strait. Windier as you head north here, north 30, gust 40 for Stevens Passage, north 40, gust 55 for Lynn Canal, and otherwise the north coast, north to northeast at 20. Outlook for Monday, bring those down to gales here, or minimum gales for Lynn Canal now, losing the storm force gusts. 30 knots out of the north, still a pretty stiff breeze there for Stevens Passage, north 20 Clarence Strait. Light east-northeasterlies here at 10 on the south coast, 25 knots north central coast, and back down to 15 farther to the north. Prince William Sound, north winds at about 15 tomorrow. Could be some higher gusts out of the northern and northeast bays. Otherwise, seas 3 feet, north 15 for the North Gulf Coast, northwest 15 here for the western North Gulf Coast, 15 to 20 knot winds, Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, and north 15, southern Cook Inlet, and lighter to north of the Forelands. Outlook for Monday, northeast 10 here for the northern inlet, seas 2 feet, northeast 15 south of the Forelands, north 15 Kamishak Bay, and the Barrens northwest at about 20, otherwise northeast 10 to 15 for the North Gulf Coast, and about the same, light northeast breezes in Prince William Sound and slight seas. Northeast 10 for Shelikof Strait tomorrow, northwest 15, east side of Kodiak, Sitkinak to Castle Cape, southwest 20, and west 20, Pacific side of the peninsula, Bering Sea side, southwest 15, northeast 15 with 4-foot seas for Bristol Bay. Those pick up a little bit, east 20, 4-foot seas there for the bay on Monday. South 30 knots, Bering Sea side of the peninsula, south side, southwest 25, Castle Cape to Sitkinak, west 15, northwest 20, east side of Kodiak, Shelikof Strait, north at 15. And for the Fox Islands, Unalaska Island, they'll split it again, south to southwest, 20 to 30 knots, picking up to 40 knots here, approaching Accoon Island and in toward Nikolsky in the afternoon. Southerlies, storm force southerlies, 55 knots ahead of that front, pushing into Adak and Atka, and 55 to 60 knots southerlies there due to that pretty intense low center back to the west for the western Aleutians, with seas approaching 30 feet, but not quite making it. Then southwesterlies 35 to 40 here for the western Aleutians, central Aleutians, southwest 30, 40 knots. Fox Islands, southwest, mostly, predominantly southwest, 30 to 35 knots, seas running as high as 19 feet. And for the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, southwest at 15, north side there, southeast at 20, a little breezier, St. Lawrence Island, northeast 30 knots, and full gales here for St. Matthew Island out of the southeast. Small craft advisories for the Pribilof, south 25, 15-foot seas. Southwest 25 on Monday there for the Pribilof, still southeast 40 for St. Matthew Island, east 40 for St. Lawrence Island, and small craft and brisk wind advisories, southeast 25 to 30 for the southwest coast. Beaufort Sea coastline here, central and east side, light north at 5, maybe west 10 on the east side, east 15, pick up to 20 knots, Cape Beaufort to Cape Thompson, and then 15 knots out of the northeast for the Chukchi Sea. Monday, not much change here, still 20 knots, Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort. Otherwise, Cape Thompson to Wales, northeast 15 on the western coast, northwest 10, central coast, west northwest at 5. For the east side. And for tonight, that trough continues to weaken. Still some clouds, maybe some flurries, but nothing significant, trying to push in the central interior. Big effect will be keeping the temperatures warmer with the cloud cover there. Otherwise, 25 to 45 below east side, a little milder here in the clearing skies of the west. Breezy, high wind warning out for the greater Juneau area until noon tomorrow for gusts above 60 miles an hour out of the northeast. Wind chill advisory for White Pass and Klondike Highway near White Pass through tomorrow afternoon for wind chills 35 below. Otherwise, dry and breezy with a chance, a risk of snow trying to sneak into the Stewart and Hyder area. Snow and breezy conditions on the increase here along the southwest coast, specifically Nunivak Island. Next big storm coming into the Bering Sea. Drives northward and the front pushes eastward.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.